Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day two of Hindustan Times Environment Conclave. My name is Monica Rawal, and in this finale session of the conclave, we are going to be discussing about the significance of popular cultural platforms such as art, literature, sports, and cinema in facilitating sustainable future. Over the years, we have seen how a lot of celebrities and public figures have come forward and offered support in spreading awareness for a better climate and environment. And to talk about this at length, I have with me two noted Bollywood actresses who are doing a remarkable job as environmental activists as well. So, joining me today first is actor Dia Mirza, who's also a producer, UN Secretary General's advocate for Sustainable Development Goals, and UNEP Goodwill Ambassador. Welcome, Dia, to Hindustan Times.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful that you've been having these conversations.
Next up, we have with us actor Bhumi Pednekar, who's also a climate warrior, and she started her Pan India digital initiative called Climate Warrior in 2019. Welcome, Bhumi, to Hindustan Times Conclave.
Hi, Monica. Hi, Dia. I'm so excited that, we finally are doing this conversation. I think it's so important, especially with the amazing developments that have happened yesterday. I think this is a great, great time to have this chat. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, finally, there seems to be some ray of hope.
Right? Thank God.
And in the year of pandemic, I'm sure these conversations become even more important when people sitting at home probably are not realizing how important it is to not just talk, but also take actions. And that is where you guys play a very, very important role.
I think
We hope
absolutely,
so.
yeah.
So Dia has been constant, very regularly being at the forefront for conversations regarding climate change. And Bhumi, on her part, has been spreading awareness through her digital initiative because we are in this digital India, as we say. So I'm going to start with Dia by asking you that, 2020, despite all the lockdowns across the globe and very less pollution on the roads, has been the warmest year recorded in human. Definitely there is something that is going wrong. So what do you think that people still need to do further to bring the air temperature in control?
Oh, Monica, 1 year of a global lockdown is not going to reverse the ill effects caused by human
Yeah.
actions and behavior in the last 150 years. So, the reason why year upon year we are recording the highest temperatures ever is because of the kind of alterations we've made to the Earth's surface, the amount of environmental degradation we've caused, the levels of pollution that have increased across the planet. And I mean, a simple statistic that shows that human behavior has altered 75% of the Earth's surface in the last 100 years itself should tell us how much we have messed up our very fragile planetary systems. And this 1 year of a lockdown gave us respite and relief, which was negligible. And also, I think, in many ways, gave us the opportunity to actually sit back because we were forced into our homes and we felt caged, and gave us the opportunity to pay attention to how much cleaner the air could become, how much cleaner waters could become, how much things in general, just witnessing nature coming back could, and how healing that could be for all of us. But that said, this small pause is not going to fix the wrongs we've done. So, the reason why we have the Paris Agreement, the reason why the world needs to come together in unanimous collective action to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals, all 17 of them, is to ensure, and to do this within this decade. We have 9 years to deliver on this promise, is because if we do not, the temperatures will not just rise by 2.5, but now scientists say by over 3 degrees.
Yeah.
And that can be catastrophic. It's already catastrophic. We're already experiencing such a uh, exponential human crisis at every level. I think it's important, and I'm sure Bhumi will touch upon this as well, but it's so important for us to recognize three things. One, that this pandemic is an outcome of our behavior, our broken relationship with nature, the way we've messed around with wildlife and their habitats, and we've traded in wildlife. Though these pathogens otherwise would have never jumped their original habitats and come to us. And scientists say that 75% of all diseases, all viruses, will be zoonotic in nature. This is also an outcome of the fact that we've degraded a lot of our forest area, we've traded in wildlife, and we've basically collected pathogens and we're transferring them to places where they shouldn't be. Secondly, um, there is a urgent need for collective human action to change the way we have built our economies, to change the way we know or understand what is called comfort or a good life. And much of that, of course, has been introduced to us by the West. And I think it's the Eastern countries that will have to lead the charge of the Light Brigade and change the way the world perceives and understands well being and health. The third most important thing that I think I hope everybody recognized in 2020 is that human health is completely linked to environmental health and planetary health.
You, 2019 September is really climate warming actually. I'm not going to ask you what led. Because that's evident. We needed such dialogues to start. Then to now,
Monica, I'm so
Monica, we
sorry. Will you
can't
please
hear
repeat
your
your
voice.
question? Yeah, the network is a little dodgy.
so I'm saying it's been a year and a half that Climate Warrior, the initiative, we all know that it was such the initiative. Then to now, what what kind of started or
Okay, I'm just assuming your question is around climate warrior because that's literally the only thing I could hear. I'm so sorry, Monica. I couldn't really. Dia, you think you could help
No,
me with the
no,
question?
it's
Because
just, I'm only hearing
okay,
you. Can
okay.
just grab the words. We couldn't
Huh.
hear
So
what you.
I think I'll just give you, I'll just interpret your question, Monica. Look, the reason it's been over a year that I started Climate Warrior, but I've always been as woke and as vocal about my thoughts regarding climate change ever since I was very little. Um, the reason I started it was because I was so scared. You know, everything that Dia spoke about is stuff that I was reading over the last few years. If we speak about the Paris Agreement, where you have like over 190 countries. Am I right, Dia? There are over 190 countries that are on it. Sorry, the network is so bad.
155. No stress.
155, I'm so sorry. Yeah, countries that have gotten together and made this pact. They're trying to keep the temperature up to 2 degrees. 1.5 will be great, but I don't think we understand what a 1.5 degree rise in temperature means. It means there is going to be land that is going to be completely uninhabitable. Okay, there will be floods, rapid floods. There would be rapid migration. That we are going to have the largest refugee crisis in the world. Okay, there are going to be generations that are not going to have access to basic things like water, good nutrition, clean air. And these were the thoughts that really gave me sleepless nights. And that's why we started Climate Warrior. What we are trying to do with my initiative is simply create as much conversation as possible through my social media presence. We are fortunate that as actors we reach out to a large audience. There are many people that want to listen to us, that want to know what we feel about certain things, and that's why we started Climate Warrior, and we have seen some positive change. We are reaching out to people on a more individualistic level. We are trying to do some groundwork as well. 2020 was a bit of a setback for all of us, but we did not stop. Small little changes, small little lifestyle changes, a mindset change can make such a huge difference. जब हिंदी में कहते हैं बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है, it actually means that. We all collectively have to come together for a larger impact to happen. As Dia very rightly said, that we have less than a decade left. It gives me like, it scares my soul. On what basis would I want to start maybe a family? Like, would it be fair for me to leave behind my children in a world that is so deprived of every kind of basic right? And I really hope that through the conversation that we will have today, or through all the work that Dia is doing, or I'm doing, or so many other climate warriors, through all the work that we are doing, there is this awakening, and that's what we need. We don't need conversations anymore. We need action. We need people to understand that this is the largest looming threat that humanity has ever faced. This is larger than anything else. The COVID-19 situation was literally just the start of it. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm just saying it the way it is. Our icebergs are melting. We don't know what kind of virus is. I mean, Dia correctly pointed it out. I mean, we are really going towards a very catastrophic situation, and that's why I started Climate Warrior. And I feel it's my duty, forget as an actor, it's my duty just as a human being to to let especially the urban classes know that kitna hum abuse karte hain hamare natural resources.
So my next question is to both.
Okay, Monica, we really can't hear you. Literally, like, garbled small pieces of words coming through, and we're struggling to decipher what you're saying.
And I'm
No, Baba. Do you want to like jump off and jump back on again? See whether that may help. It's okay. It's digital. People will understand.
yeah, I'm going through a situation myself. I've literally held on to my phone because I'm so distracted. I'm such a technology mess today, but yeah, it's fine. Monica, we can't hear you at all.
No, lips move. We have no idea what you're saying. Sorry.
Okay, so maybe I will ask each other a few questions, Dia. What are your thoughts? How excited are you about America being back on the agreement?
Oh my God, I cannot tell you the relief. And that was the first thing that he signed.
Yeah.
It's because it's so important, right, for that country to take the lead,
Absolutely.
part of the solution, because it is one of the countries that have contributed significantly to the
The
problem.
most.
And
Absolutely.
you need for them to kind of
Dia, can you
acknowledge
hear
it.
me now? Sorry.
Yes.
It's perfect.
So we were just both talking about how relieved both are since Biden came back and
Yes.
rejoined the Paris Agreement. You can go ahead and
Okay.
ask questions one by
Great.
one.
I'm so sorry for the technical glitch, but I think it was to do
it's
with
fine.
some audio.
Acha,
Yeah.
there's 189 countries. My bad.
Okay.
Correct.
189.
Countries.
So coming back to the topic of our conversation that we were discussing, that why do we have two actors and environmental activists on board? We cannot disregard the fact that cultural platforms such as sports, cinema, and a lot of other walks of life play a very important role in spreading significance of how, the adverse effects of climate change that a lot of people are unaware about. So my question to both of you, you can answer one by one. Do you think cinema is definitely a mass medium that can connect with a lot of audiences, viewers, and people, and it's much more effective than other formal communications to spread awareness about environment? So where do you think your role comes in play? So I'll start by Dia.
Okay, I feel like when it comes to India and spreading advocacy and awareness on climate and environmental action, our filmmaking and storytelling is far behind. We just haven't done very much on it. maybe a few abstract small pieces here and there. Some good, powerful documentaries have been made. But
Yeah.
when you talk about mainstream feature film cinema, nobody has really made the effort to do so here. Unlike what Leonardo DiCaprio has done in the West. So I completely agree. I'm sure Bhumi will agree with you as well, Monica, that when a culture, a pop culture that is so widely consumed in a country or in the world, kind of takes it upon themselves to deliver a message, the effects of that are bound to be far-reaching. Which is why perhaps scientists are at a bigger advantage today than perhaps ever before. Politicians
Yeah.
today a bigger advantage than ever before because they have artists and our
Yeah.
community understanding the science, backing the science, and taking the science to the people. So when, for example, when I started talking about environmental action and protection about 15 years ago, there were very few people in the mainstream media who were reporting
Mm.
anything at all on climate, on wildlife. In fact, I want to take this opportunity to thank HT because I feel like Hindustan Times has
Yeah.
been one of the few and rare publications that has followed the climate story, has really reported on environment and
Yeah.
wildlife much more than in any other publication in the country. um, but you are still, like many others, still do not bring as much news as is necessary and required to people on this
Right.
aspect, you know. So if people like us artists can make this news accessible, make the science accessible, make the understanding of what is happening accessible and understandable to more people, then there's no bigger cause to celebrate because this is what you mean by using our celebrity. This is the way
Yeah.
we do it. And I think as artists, we feel genuinely grateful for the opportunity. I certainly do. Every time I get the opportunity to
Yeah.
deliver information and advocate on a campaign and see its successful transference in policy or see change on the ground, like when I see more people carrying traveling bottles now than they did 5 years ago, I see
Mhm.
more people use less plastic because of the robust campaigns we've kind of initiated and worked on. It gives me a great sense of relief. Of course, we still have a
Yeah.
lot more to do, but it just gives you some oxygen. You feel like, kuch to hua.
Bhumi, your views on what more cinema and people attached with such a mass medium can do to spread awareness at their own level?
Bhumi and I just want like 500,000 crores each so that we can make lots of that.
I swear. It amazes me how, because I have most of the cinema that I've done has been quite socially relevant. And I've seen the impact that a film with a right cause and a good intent can do, especially with Toilet Ek Prem Katha.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond me that why aren't people recognizing that there are many problems and every problem is extremely important, but there's nobody who speaks about climate change. 2 years ago we had this opportunity where a whole bunch of us, uh, we had a chance of opening up a dialogue, a conversation, and it had to be something that we mutually had to kind of decide upon. And I remember being a part of that platform and telling my peers and my contemporaries that, guys, climate change is what we should talk about, because it's literally, I keep saying this time and again, it is the biggest threat that we are ever going to face. And
Yeah.
everybody just shunned me down. So I can only imagine what Dia must be facing when she started. Everybody was like, no, 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 of course we need equality, we need everything. All the 17 development goals are extremely important. But that's when I realized that people are so unaware. These are educated, evolved minds. These are people that are so well read, well traveled. They know about diverse cultures and everything, and the kind of reach they have is immense. And that's why I feel like, just as actors in our community, we are barely doing anything. It's not about putting out that one post. It is actually about making sure that things change. It is
Right.
actually about hammering the message time and again. It can't be that one day, oh, it's World Environment Day, so let's go out there and, do something. Every day is Earth Day, every day is World Environment Day. And I feel cinema, what we don't understand is that the urban classes, we are the biggest abusers. I recently read an article that our carbon footprint, because of the way we consume, our consumption habits are so bad and they are so wrong. Our carbon footprint individually is so high. And I think we just generally don't have the knowledge to understand that one top, recently there's a new fad that everything should be recycled. But recycle doesn't mean that you go buy more recycled things. It means that the most
Your consumption first.
sustainable piece of garment is what's already in your wardrobe. It's this kind of conversation that needs to happen because it amazes me how people are like, oh my God, this is recycle, and they've bought like 20 of those things. I'm like, no, your consumption habit is so bad. So we need to have like more, maybe movies, we need to have shows, we need to have more people from the community that have like a larger reach, constantly talk about these things on various of the platforms. We have so
I
much
also
time in the world.
about it. You know, Monica, we don't recognize that practically every social issue there is in this world is connected to the climate.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't see why filmmakers don't see that connection. Hopefully, they will soon enough.
I
And
think the
they
truth is so scary. I feel the truth is so scary that people just don't want to believe it. They feel like, Arey, no, salt, it's 9 years, it's gonna go off like this.
Yeah.
And the thing is, till you don't face it, till you don't, because, again, as city people, we have water. I mean, especially the ones wherever living in all your metros, we have access to a lot of luxury and a lot of convenience. But we don't understand is that it's a matter of some time. All this convenience is gonna go. We are not gonna have
yeah, our taps
any
are going to run
resources
dry.
left. Our taps are going to dry out. There are various cities in the world that have already been through it. See what happened to Cape Town. Like, Cape Town had become a study 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Chennai went through something similar. Yes, people have the money to buy water, but eventually it's only going to be like a small percentage of those people. Imagine what happens when water is traded. We're already on the brink of it. Imagine what happens when you have to buy clean air.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of conversations that need to happen.
I
Immunity
always
is so
think that
low.
if clean air had a price tag on it,
Uh-huh.
and
A lot
or
of times people say that it's
I
easier.
don't want to put a price tag on water, but if clean air had a price tag, maybe we'll learn to value these things a little more. Mother Earth has given us
Only
everything.
People often talk that, guys, am I audible?
Yes.
hmm.
Okay. So, people often talk that it's easier to have discussions, is easier to talk, but to bring it in action, it takes a lot out of a person. So I know, Dia, you have been doing little things in your daily life. So I would want you to please talk a little about them that could act as a learning for people who are watching this session, or maybe an advice to those who want to do their bit for the environment, but they're clueless from where to start. So maybe if you can just share a little about what little things that you've been doing in your day-to-day life.
So I think it all starts with the understanding that everything that we use in our daily lives comes from the earth and has to go back to the earth. And you need to be conscious about what form you're sending what you are back to the earth in, so that it can become a part of the earth without polluting it. So one of the materials that we use, have been using unthinkingly, wastefully, mindlessly, has been plastic. So I sat back and I recognized what are the items in my everyday life that I was using that are made of plastic, and I could find sustainable, long lasting, or environmentally friendly alternatives to it. So, actually, quite frankly, Monica, a lot of the choices that I've made are really about going back to basics and going back to the way हम हिंदुस्तान में पहले से रहते थे.
Hmm.
Um, So the first thing that I did was I switched from regular plastic toothbrushes to bamboo toothbrushes that are made by bristles that are completely biodegradable and earth friendly. Then I switched my plastic earbuds because I saw that horrific image of the turtle
Hmm.
plastic earbud stuck in the snout. And of course, what you also realize is that if that plastic takes anything between 500 to 800 years to degrade in the environment, imagine, and actually it never goes away anywhere. So it just becomes a
Yeah.
microplastic and remains in the environment. So
Yeah.
if so in workshops with children, I usually use this as an example because you need to see the plastic in your life to be able to say no to it, right? So one of the things I do with kids is I make them count how many toothbrushes they use in a year. So the average usually is 3 or 4, sometimes 6. Then I say, okay, that is if you're traveling and not opening every plastic toothbrush on every flight,
Hmm.
any
Yeah.
hotel, right? Because that would add to your number. So anyway, so 7 or 8 is the average. Then I say, okay, so what age were you when you grew teeth? So they'd say what, 1.5, 2, whatever. So I said from the age of 2 till the age of about 75, because you'll brush your dentures too, right? So the answer is yes. So how many toothbrushes do you in a lifetime? And it's a pretty big number. Then I make them add that up with the strength of their classroom. So now they have a metaphorical pile of plastic of just one item of plastic that they consume through their life.
Yeah.
Now I tell them to imagine that with the entirety of the population on the planet. And then I tell them to multiply that with all the other plastic items they're bringing into their daily lives. So the moment you see the plastic, you start. So plastic earbuds, toothbrushes, plastic bags, carry bags, bottles, the single use plastic bottles, 99% of them are not recycled.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there are many food, beverage, unnecessarily plastic and packaged in plastic, refusing all of that. So, replacing what you can with sustainable alternatives. So, I have a cloth bag that's always folded and kept in my handbag. Everyone at home has been trained to use a cloth bag. Even the corner store that delivers to our home knows that they cannot bring
Yeah.
anything in plastic bags. It will not be accepted. We've given them a big jute bag, which he delivers all our stuff in. Um, and it takes some amount of pushing and diligence, but you can see it through. The other thing made of mostly plastics I discovered was sanitary napkins. And that's when I made the switch to biodegradable napkins. Now, of course, I use the cup. So it's whatever is more comfortable, but both options are available.
Yeah.
Um, they're not as inexpensive as the plastic ones, but they are cost effective. If you find the right this thing product, it's
Yeah.
this thing. And it's accessible, available online. The other thing that I think every one of us can very easily do is become more responsible for the waste we generate. So, segregating our waste at source, at home, composting our kitchen waste, everything, all our vegetable peels, fruit peels, everything that we generate that is made from the earth. Instead of putting it in our regular kachra, we should compost it at home and try and segregate even the dry waste that we create. So, paper separate, e waste separate, different plastics,
Hmm.
packaging of food. Sometimes you get chips and whatever. Keep
Yeah.
all of them separately. We basically accumulate it, and then it goes to different sources for repurposing. So upcycling, downcycling, whatever has to happen with it happens. So waste management is a key area and a key aspect of sustainable living. The third thing that I feel all of us can easily do, we love to sing in the bathroom. So make sure your bath lasts one song,
Yeah. Yeah.
not longer than a song. Um, then one of the other things that I'm very excited about having been able to do is installing water check meters in my society. So there's not a drop of water now that gets
Hmm.
wasted from the underhead or the lower
That's so nice.
tank or the overhead tank. Otherwise, earlier hundreds of liters of water was.
Hmm.
Um, The other thing that we can all do is plant more trees, grow more trees. So instead of, and Bhumi knows this, she loves this thing that I do. So
It's
instead of
amazing.
So,
buying birthday gifts and anniversary presents for people who I love, I grow trees in their name.
Yeah.
yes, that's so
So
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, it's great fun. It's also a very well received gift, and it also gives you a great sense of purpose because, I mean, over the years now, I've been doing it for the last 3 years, and I've managed to grow quite a few trees. And also, it saves you the pressure of having to be imaginative and come up with an exciting or interesting gift idea. I think it's the best thing to do.
That's a
So,
beautiful incorporation of things, Dia. I mean, I must say, people, if nothing else, they can at least bring this, plant a tree thing in the one song in the bathroom thing. It's something very practical that you can do in your daily life to
I
at
refuse
least,
plastic also, please.
huh?
Please. I said
Yeah.
refuse plastics also, please.
Absolutely. And Bhumi, in continuation to
Hmm.
what Dia just mentioned, a lot of people say that celebrities, especially actors or sports stars, they have a very high emitting lifestyle.
Hmm.
No matter that, you don't know, probably unconsciously, you could be driving in cars that are all guzzling. So, is there any lifestyle change that you have undertaken since the time you realized that, okay, I need to advocate, uh, you know, the cause for saving my environment? Has there been
Oh,
anything major that you have done
absolutely.
in that area?
I feel just adding on to everything that Dia said, because everything that she said is something that we've already been practicing at home, be it composting,
Great.
segregating your waste. My house is pretty much plastic free. In fact, every film that I work on, every film set that I work on, I make sure that we don't use single use plastic because, earlier on I would see there would be PET bottles everywhere, there would be plastic straws everywhere. That's something that I've been successful doing in my last couple of films. But I feel on a larger scale, one commitment to my lifestyle that I made that I feel is I went vegetarian, and that's something that I really, really propagate because we don't understand how much the meat industry actually adds on to the carbon footprint. In totality,
Yeah.
the meat industry is actually a huge polluter. Uh, so that's something that we did. My house is vegetarian, and I feel apart from that, where lifestyle is concerned, I am not somebody who I've consciously not cared about what car I drive, or I don't feel that I have the need to switch my car every 2 years. We do not have like 5 6 cars at home just because we have the affordability to get it. We are not the kind of people like at my house specifically, and I've seen such a huge change in my ecosystem because of these practices. When I see my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my friends, now their attitude towards luxury has completely changed. It is
Mm.
not about having like 10,000 LEDs on in your house just so that your house looks fancy. Or, it's not about having your central air conditioned apartment, completely chilled all the time. Like these things are ridiculous. A small little thing like actually supposing you cannot put water check meters in your building, just go reduce the pressure that every tap or every water source in your house has. That makes such a huge difference. When I did that, this was about 3 years ago, all everybody, my staff that worked in my house, they could not stop complaining because it's a life of convenience. Now full pressure mein your null is on, your aram se washing things, and it's just so easy, right? And they kept complaining, and literally they do the same amount of work. It takes them lesser time, and they use 20% or maybe even lesser than what they were using earlier. So it is just about being generally conscious about the electricity that you spend, the water that you spend, the
Water.
food that you waste, the food that you consume, and the way whatever you do with it. So I feel it can't be one thing, but yeah, I do agree that celebrities, not celebrities, I feel just people generally that have affordability are the polluters. And I keep saying this again and again, and we really need to change our lifestyle. I don't see the need for us to have like 10 cars and
Yeah.
like just generally have the kind of lifestyle where you're flying private. And I'm really getting very detailed over here, but I really don't understand it. Like use public transport, you know, there's so many things that individually one can do. Even in
Absolutely.
my ecosystem,
She's growing
it
plants
was
also at home.
I'm growing a lot of plants at home, and just generally, like, it was my grandfather's birthday, and we kind of planted 200 plants in his plot. There's something that I was inspired with what Dia does. So I feel like it can't be one thing, it's just your general approach to life has to change. You need to be so conscious, and it's not difficult. People think, "Arey, बहुत मुश्किल होगा, हम कैसे करेंगे?" It is so easy. Like, just don't use a plastic straw, use a steel straw. How is it altering your life? Like, I roam around with my cutlery. I have a pencil box
Sip,
which has
don't
like my,
suck.
huh?
I said
Sorry,
sip,
no,
don't suck. The need for a straw.
exactly. Exactly. I have a little pencil box that has all my cutlery. I have a steel plate that I go around with because it would really bother me, okay? Like, especially as actors, people just feel like, okay, if I go out for dinner, and I do this in restaurants as well, huh? They'll give me like 10 katoris and like it would just be a mess. And I'd be like, okay, so they need that much water to wash this. So I have like
Wash
my little
them.
thali that I go with that has like these little grooves. So it's just about being generally conscious, using material that is biodegradable. As Dia said, I've stopped using like Q-tips. I don't use any earbuds anymore. Just sanitary napkins as well. Like, use the cup, use pads that are biodegradable. And, if you have the affordability, spread it out to other women as well. That's something that I do. Like, whatever women I know, I make sure that I give them a cup because they don't have the knowledge. It's very cost effective, but this conversation will go someplace else. So I keep it short.
No, but that's a very beautiful thing. A lot of people will probably not understand these little things, but I'm sure after hearing you, they will look at them as alternatives and very practical things that they can incorporate in their lives using biodegradable sanitary napkins or that sustainable thali or everything. So thank you so much for sharing them with us. They are also from you being a wildlife enthusiast, and you're also the ambassador for Wildlife Trust of India. I want to ask this question that in the recent years, a lot of projects, especially like national highways, have been allowed around a lot of wildlife sanctuaries, and it has somewhere or the other affected tiger population. Somewhere or the other, it definitely has an impact on the environment as well. So, what is your idea that we continue with development as well, but without threatening the wildlife? Because everything is interconnected at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. Within your question lies the answer. So, one of the unfortunate outcomes of capitalism and commercialization has been the idea or the understanding that environmentalism is obstructionism, when in fact
Hmm.
it's every single person who's ever raised any kind of debate or opposition towards the construction of roads, national highways cutting through our forests, especially when there are alternative routes available, where of course many activists have pointed out, and we've managed to stall certain constructions and changed the plans for those national highways. You're absolutely right. When you have roads and traffic cutting through fragile ecosystems, it disrupts the entire ecology of that forest. It affects from the frogs, the amphibians, to the elephants, to their. It basically impacts the rite of passage of these animals. And in fact, one of the most important campaigns that I've worked on with Wildlife Trust of India has been the rite of passage, where we've demarcated 175 corridors that elephants have been taken for centuries as their natural migratory routes, that have now that have obstacles now. So some places there are roads, some places there are villages. There was one place where there was a wall.
Okay.
And the effort, of course, has been to sensitize locals, form systems that enable the animals to get their rite of passage. And where we've had to, we've even rehabilitated villagers villages, entire villages, and given them farmland and a school and a hospital. All of this, of course, costs money, but we've managed to do it in a few places. We still have a lot more to do. But the fact of the matter is that there is something that we really need to understand. Our policymakers, our government, and all of us, and especially industries, that we inhabit 2.3% of the geographical landmass of the planet. It's a very small piece of land that has the world's second largest population.
Yeah.
And the resources that we have, water, clean air, food, soil, everything, is given to us or provided to us by our natural resources, by our forests. There was a
Hmm.
time when India had uninterrupted flowing forests. Today we have
Yeah.
less than 21%, of which only 5% is dense forest. And this 5% of dense forest is ensuring your health and survival as it is mine. So it is our absolute human need to ensure that we do not cause any more devastation and destruction of these forests, which is why I think it's very important for all agencies that are working in urban development to be in line with the environmental guidelines, to not perceive them as obstructionist, and at the same time use innovation and technology and modern science to build in a way where nature's balance is not disrupted. And where we've done it successfully, and we've seen the difference.
That's great. So, as we are running out of time and we are reaching the end of the session, but I have a very important question for both of you. Bhumi, especially Climate Warrior is a digital initiative. It's
Hmm.
online. It's everything to do with being technologically advanced also. I
Hmm.
want to understand what is the power of social media that we are trying to use here in spreading awareness about environment protection and educating people with the adverse effects of climate change. Because, in our lives, everybody these days is addicted to social media as well. And that's where Climate Warrior is also at an upper hand. It has an
Yes.
advantage that it can connect with the youth of the country
Yes.
to bring the kind of awareness that I'm sure you want to. So you tell me about that a little bit.
I think technology is going to be our biggest aid battling the adverse effects of climate change. We cannot reverse what has happened. We can just
Yeah.
slow it down. Where social media and the influence it has is that social media is the only way we can actually start a revolution today. It is something that connects the entire world together. We have seen, like, if you've seen what Greta does, right? Greta Thunberg has
Yes, Greta
started
Thunberg.
one of the biggest movements, and she got the kind of recognition, and whatever she was doing was so widely spread because of social media. She created a huge community of young adults, of the youth, people that actually are going to be a part of the catastrophic world that we are going to leave behind for them. And she created a movement. There was a point, pre-pandemic, when there were millions of people in New York for the Friday strike. I mean, that is the impact that social media has. And that's why I keep saying this time and again, that imagine if all of us, everybody who has any kind of reach, if all of us start talking about this, like you see so many influencers in the West, if you speak about Leonardo, he is using his reach, his social media
Yeah.
platform, and his following for positive change. And that's exactly what we need to do. So I feel very fortunate that I have kind of jumped into this fight at a time where I had so many tools available, social media being the biggest one. It really makes life a lot easy. It really helps us reach out to many more people, and it helps us educate. I am on my various platforms learning something new every day. I watch Dia's lives. I follow so many more people that are constantly speaking about constructive ways of battling the situation that we are in. And then I give that information forward to the people who listen to me. So the idea again is to create a very strong community, to create people. I mean, look at the kind of movements and look at the kind of things that have happened in our country. I won't specifically speak of an
The
incident,
Chipko,
but
the
sorry.
Chipko movement,
Chipko movement. Yeah.
Exactly. It takes like I know I've been for many Friday for Future strikes in Bombay. It's just that one post, and you suddenly see like thousands of people gather together, on Carter Road. That's the power of social media. It's such a woke, positive platform, and we all are using it to the best that we can.
And we have, in fact, seen the power when all the Bollywood and everybody based in Bombay came together when RA forests were being to cut,
Yeah,
and how the social media, the power of social media pushed authorities to shift the metro rail shed to another site. So that has been like a victory in a sense. So, Dia, what about you? I mean, you are up, we see your Insta lives, we see those posts where you try to inspire, empower people to come and take this cause forward. What is your thought about social media being used finally for a better purpose?
Oh, I think it's a superpower, and we should use it well. And I'm very grateful for its existence because it's made the world more connected than ever before. And I feel like, in many ways, Bittu Sehgal, who is my mentor, tells me that when they started their work, it was so hard for them to convince people that climate change is a reality. And I feel like him and many others, we found each other to help and support and kind of forge ahead together collectively. And that makes a very big difference, because otherwise this can be a very lonely and a very tough journey and a very baffling journey. Because it really, empathy is a powerful emotion, and when you truly feel it for the earth, it can be debilitating. And it really helps to know that the community of people that care for the
yeah,
planet is growing. And I have to also admit that there has been an exponential rise in advocacy and awareness in the last 1.5 years, especially in young people.
yeah,
And social media is there to thank for that. Science has become
yeah.
accessible, and all the efforts made by Bhumi, by me, by so many others has helped bring this change. So, hooray for social media! I can't imagine us achieving 1/10 of what we have without the
Absolutely,
power of social
absolutely.
media.
So, and I'm sure after watching this session, we probably would have many more youngsters join the cause because it is the need of the hour, if nothing else. So, just
Absolutely.
on the parting thoughts in very brief, any message to your countrymen about saving environment? Bhumi.
All I want to say is that we don't really have a plan B. We can't have a plan B where this is concerned. We don't have a planet B. This is our home, the four walls that we live in. You need to take care of the planet more than you take care of the home that you live in, because this is your home in the truest sense. I want to tell all the adults, all parents, that if you truly love your family and if you truly want to protect your child, yes, give them everything, give them great education, a great value system, but you have to leave behind a planet that they can survive on. So if you truly
Yeah.
love them, do the things. Your actions mean a lot today. Become examples for them. Everything that people are talking about, that the scientists speak about, or that your child tries to tell you, listen to him, because it is their future that you're robbing them of. And yeah, so here's fingers crossed. Hopefully, next year when we have this conclave, we will be talking about things. And wow, what a constructive year 2021 has been.
So well put. Dia, your turn.
Well, we are confronted by existential crisis.
Yes.
There is no greater emergency in this world than the climate emergency. And the most wonderful thing about nature is that she is a self repairing system. So long as we give her what she needs, she will recover. And it should be our biggest priority to restore the health of our planet. And the wonderful thing about every one of us is that we have the power of choice. So all we need to do is to make better choices every day and do it with the understanding that we are making a difference and we have to make a difference because we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So beautifully put. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. And I really apologize for the technical glitch,
No
but
problem.
we are
Oh
in the age
no.
of digital
Oh,
age.
not
Yeah.
at all.
Thank you so much. Take care
Thank
and
you. Bye
keep
bye.
inspiring people. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, Dia. Bye, Monica.
Bye.
Thanks.